Handoff, Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose! He splits the defense! 50, 40, 30, goodbye, baby! Touchdown!
We bleed purple, and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores, we roar, ignite the stands.
Hey there, Minnesota Vikings sports fans. You are listening to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle West. I am accompanied by Adam Carlson.
That's me.
And Kyle Smith.
What's up?
What's up, gentlemen?
Not too much, getting the show out a little late this week, so we apologize to our listeners for that. We had a little bit of weather-related technical difficulties.
It's because I live in Iowa, and sometimes it snows and I lose internet.
We are now at about 16 inches of snow up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Whew.
So it's been a little bit of an adventure here as well.
You have to
I
call.
think it was like 75 in Virginia. I'll let you guys know if we survive.
Ugh.
See, zombies would survive down there, though, so I can't have that. It's got to be up here where they freeze to death.
Oh, touche.
I love.
I'd like to welcome everyone to episode number 125 of the Purple People podcast. This one's titled Rudy Awakening. I don't know if you guys have seen the classic 1989 Cheech Marin movie Rude Awakening, but it's a classic.
I have not actually seen that one.
I didn't figure you guys were big Cheech fans.
It's no surprise on my end. Everybody should know I'm not the movie expert.
But let's go into the quick hits before we analyze this terrible episode title to death. So the first good news is that the Vikings are hopeful that tight end Kyle Rudolph will be available for Sunday's game against the Chicago Bears. It looks as though he should be available, and that is great news for Mr. Teddy Bridgewater.
Stole the words right out of my mouth. He's been, I think if he comes back Sunday, he'll be right on schedule for what they thought. And so it's pretty good. Get a healthy Kyle Rudolph along with a weak-rested Vikings team. That should be interesting.
I don't really understand why they didn't put him on the short-term IR. Maybe they were saving it in case something else happened. But to me, it was odd that he wasn't placed on that list. But oh well, what can you do?
I just wish he would stay healthy, because I feel like we've had this conversation a few too many times now.
Yeah, especially after him signing that
big old mega contract. Yeah.
Yeah, stay healthy, sir. Do what you gotta do. So, Adrian Peterson got his plea deal, and now he has not been removed from the exempt commissioner's permission list by Roger Goodell. The NFLPA submitted a grievance on the behalf of Adrian Peterson, and it has since been expedited. Action will have to be taken by the NFL by Monday. Nothing to add there. All right.
We'll leave that one alone.
Uh-huh.
Seattle has signed tight end Rashawn Allen off of the Vikings practice squad. As of now, I haven't heard of them signing someone to replace him. So right now they're a man short on the practice squad, but I'm sure they'll make a transaction sometime in the next couple days.
I think they did, Adam. I think they signed another tight end. Oh, I don't remember who it was, but I seen it on Twitter. It was someone that had been on the practice squad previously.
Is it Ryan Otten?
That sounds super familiar. I would have.
Because that's been one of the tight ends they've had bouncing around.
Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure because I didn't write it down, but.
Yeah, I didn't find anything about that, but I've been kind of wrapped up in my World of the Walking Dead lately, so don't mind me. But this show is all about giving away our mid-season awards. It's the bye week. There's not a lot going on if you don't count, the Adrian Peterson stuff and the players getting healthy and all this legal crap. So let's give away some awards, right?
You betcha. Always fun. I like to do these anyway. I think it's a lot of fun.
All right, so let's start with our offensive player of the mid-year. And let's have Mr. Kyle West go first.
Oh, I get the glory of going first. Okay, I can do that. I wanted to vary my awards a little bit throughout instead of picking the same person for everything. So my offensive player is going to go to Greg Jennings. I know we've been tough on him, but I feel like Greg, over these past couple weeks, has been making some really tough catches for Teddy Bridgewater. We are also seeing him step up and into that leadership role on the field, something that this team needs as well, too. I want to see him get more involved in the red zone, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Greg as my offensive player.
What do you have, Mr. Smith?
Well, good thing about this show, we don't talk before about giving these away. It's spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool because we don't want to pick the same person and make it dull. I may get a little bit of grievance for this, but this is opinionated. So, if you don't like it. But I'm going to give it to Teddy Bridgewater. I know his stats aren't amazing, but if you think about the situation, the reason that I've given it to him is when he got drafted, the first thing that he thought was, I get to play with the best running back in football. Yeah, week 1, he was not the starter. That didn't happen.
He was week 1.
What's that?
He was week 1.
Oh, I thought Matt Castle was the starter week 1.
Oh, I thought you meant Adrian Peterson star. Sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, my mistake. Yes, Matt Castle was the starter week 1 at quarterback, and then, of course, everybody knows we haven't had Adrian since. So that was a big – I'm sure that wasn't I don't know, Teddy probably wasn't in a fit, but you have the best running back. Our whole offense has been based around him for the last 7-8 years. So to be thrust into that, I'm not going to talk too negatively. We have an award for that later. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But the offensive line, some people have not been playing up to par. He's been sacked a lot as a rookie.
18 times.
Yes.
But he's averaging 200 passing yards, which is actually close to a little 71 points or 71 yards passing per game more than Matt Castle.
There you go.
So it's actually an increase. Pretty crazy.
I think he's living up to his slogan of great under major pressure. This is not a rebuilding year. I wouldn't call this a rebuilding year. I think this is a transition year. I think there is a difference. But Teddy has played well. He's made smart decisions. He's still going to have those rookie mistakes, but I think he's played really well. So I'm going to give him offensive player.
Very nicely done. I was going back and forth between 3 names. I had Matt Asiata because 6 rushing touchdowns. Come on. You got to respect that, even though his yards per carry are only at 3.3, and his longest run of the year has been 12 yards. He has been a monster in short yardage situations for the Vikings.
Yes.
Still, I didn't pick him, and I didn't pick his backup and eventual successor, Jerick McKinnon, either, who I believe could be an easy 1,000-yard rusher if given the opportunity to start an entire season. Instead, I've got to say that I agreed with Mr. Kyle West and gave the award to Greg Jennings.
Good choice.
He's been targeted 58 times in this offense. That's the most on the team. He's caught 35 footballs. That leads the team. 459 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's picked up 23 first downs and has 118 yards after the catch. Greg Jennings is finally starting to show, with Teddy Bridgewater and with some of what Matt Castle was able to distribute the ball, they were able to do what they needed to do all season. That was get Greg Jennings the ball and show that he is a reliable receiver that can make plays when he's targeted.
That's pretty cool that we both gave it to the same person without even no knowledge that we were doing that on either of us.
All right, and let's talk about defensive player because that's our next award. Did anybody not give it to Everson Griffin?
I didn't.
I didn't.
Ooh, ouch. I figured this would be an absolute landslide. Everson Griffin has been a monster at defensive end. He's leading both the NFC and all defensive ends in sacks. He's playing up to his contract and showing that sometimes taking a little bit younger of a player with a lot of upside instead of keeping an established player can be the right decision to make, and Everson Griffin is just completely blowing everyone's expectations out of the water.
Well, I had a much tougher time picking a defensive player than what I did offensive player, because quite frankly, there's not a lot to pick from on offense. But on defense, I almost went with Everson, but I decided to go with Harrison Smith.
Okay.
Because here is a guy who is just continually putting the hit on the opposing team when he's out there on the field. He's all over making plays. I like Harrison. Yeah, he's my defensive player, just for the effort and the heart that he shows out there on the field.
All right.
Damn you, Kyle West.
Did I steal your thunder?
You did. See, my thing, and it's funny, we all tied them together. It was between Mr. Smith, who I chose, between Everson Griffin, because he's just been a monster, but I didn't want to be too obvious with that, and Anthony Barr. But as you guys will see with my picks later, Anthony's going to get a lot of love from me. But I went with Harrison for the same reasons. He's just everywhere on the field. I really, truly believe, and this isn't a Vikings fan bias, this is an NFL fan watching games. I believe he's one of the top 10 safeties in the league, and he's only, in his third year? I think he's a monster. I'm not going to take any thunder away from Everson, but our whole defensive line is playing outside of their mind. I think we're back to a really, really strong defensive unit like we used to have. I wanted to give it to Everson, but I'm going to leave for Harrison. I think Everson is a very, very, very close second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a touch disappointed in the play of Brian Robinson, but there were a couple guys that really could have stole this award. It could have even gone to guys like Tom Johnson, who has been playing a situational role, and he has 5.5 sacks on the year as a situational pass rusher. Even guys like Sharif Floyd are having monster years at their position. There were plenty of guys to choose from in this category, and man, it's nice to be able to talk about all the defensive talent on this team.
Mm-hmm. We've seen starting to see a pretty big turnaround on defense on this team for sure.
So since I was the only one that picked Everson Griffin as the defensive player of the mid-year, I'm assuming that I'm the only one that picked him as the team's MVP so far.
You are probably correct.
Yeah. I did. For all the reasons that I gave him the defensive player of the mid-year, that's why he is the team's MVP so far. Then you guys can go ahead and...
I'll jump in, Mr. Smith jumping in. Like I said, looking back, me and Adam talked last night for a little while, putting my stuff together, thinking about it all day. There was a lot of times I wanted to switch just for that reason. But yet again, I'll piggyback. I don't want to be too typical. I don't want anybody to think I'm not an Everson Griffin fan. I had nothing but faith in him when he signed the big deal this year. He's living up to his expectations, I think, and then some. I thought it was going to take him a year to get where he's at now, just as a full-time starter. But I'm giving mine to Anthony Barr.
All right.
There was a lot of heads that were shaken at the draft party I was at. Not to say that Anthony wasn't a first-round talent, but I myself thought we were going to take someone like C.J. Mosley, who landed in Baltimore, I believe. But
yeah, he's having a solid year over there, too.
Yes, he is.
Or Johnny
Anthony...
Manziel.
Yes, at number 9. That would have been perfect. No, Anthony's just playing outside of his mind, and I told Adam this last night. You got to think, this guy used to play running back, and he's humongous. But he's only been playing defensive end in college for 2 years. And if I have my stats right in front of me, not only do you have the overtime win where you strip the ball and take it back to the house to win, but you're number 2 in tackles on the team, and you have 4 sacks as a rookie linebacker. He filled that gap that we needed in a linebacker stunningly. I can't wait to see where he's going to be in 2, 3, 4 years from now.
I never expected him to be able to play coverage the way he does. I knew he was a freak that could get to the quarterback. He has tons of speed and athleticism. I never expected him to have that ability in coverage or to be able to blow up screens the way that he does.
But you know who did? Mike Zimmer. And that's why I'm giving my MVP award to the new Vikings head coach, Mike Zimmer, because I think he really is the MVP of this organization right now. Because he has got this group fighting hard. If you were to tell us 3-4 months ago that we would be starting a rookie quarterback without Adrian Peterson, and we would be not the laughing stock of the NFL, like we would be looking good on defense, and we would actually be getting it done with another guy that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, Jerick McKinnon. What he's been able to do with this team is really super impressive, and I am so glad that the Vikings signed Mike Zimmer as the head coach of this team. He's going to be with us for a long, long time, and good things are going to come because of it.
The Vikings are currently giving up the 4th fewest passing yards per game in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And don't think that that's a fluke, because compared to last year, this is a completely different squad.
We're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Look at
Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's where we're heading right now. And we're looking at a couple different guys that could be... there's really only two, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's two.
I think there's only one.
Jarek McKinnon's the man.
Yeah.
He is.
But since Mr. Kyle Smith chose Teddy Bridgewater as his offensive player, I'm thinking he's got him penciled in there.
Offensive Rookie of the Year for me. Absolutely, Jarek McKinnon.
Oh,
The best part about the whole year, the game after I forget who we were playing, but he had a really solid game, like 152 yards. He's like, I didn't think I could get that many yards in a game. And Mike Zimmer's like, oh, we'll have a talk about that. You need to set your expectations higher. I think it's awesome.
Mike Zimmer kept giving him challenges too. Like he wanted yards after contact up, and he gave him a strict deadline of what he had to meet. And McKinnon actually met that. I believe it was against the Buffalo Bills, who have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So Jarek McKinnon is another guy that's just been playing lights out football. So just to say we all picked McKinnon across the board then, right?
Yep. I wanted to pick Teddy for that one, and I'm not hating on him, but he's not quite there yet, in my opinion, and neither's Jarek, but I think between the two, you've seen more production big plays out of Jarek so far.
To me, it's Teddy Bridgewater's 5 interceptions in the 6 games that are kind of making me hesitant. I know that 5 interceptions in 6 games, really, when you think about other quarterbacks in the NFL, isn't a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they all happened in 2 games.
This is true. I was going to point that out.
And many of them were on tipped passes or passes that went off the receiver's hands. So while a lot of this stuff that's being held against Teddy Bridgewater is things that aren't under his power, he's got a lot of room to develop. And who knows, maybe at the end of the year when we give away our actual offensive rookie and rookie of the year, perhaps it could be Teddy Bridgewater. But for now, Jarek McKinnon's just been too impressive at running back.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive rookie of the year, it's got to be Anthony Barr across the board, right?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yep.
For all the reasons Mr. Smith was talking about earlier, Anthony Barr's physical ability, just raw talent, speed, power, ability to drop back into coverage. Anthony Barr has been a godsend to this team, along with, of course, Mike Zimmer and the new schemes. It's so nice to see a defense with the ability to get pressure from anywhere on the field.
Mm-hmm. And he's been all over the field as well, too. And like you said, for a guy who has not played the position all that much, his instincts are developing along really, really nicely. For him to be able to force that fumble and return it and as quickly as he did in overtime, like, that's some good instincts to go for the ball. And, I'm so impressed with Anthony Barr. I really am.
I know I say it a lot, but his ability to sniff out screen passes is just amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
He breaks them up before I even see him developing on the TV.
Yeah, I did not expect him to be as well back in coverage as what he's playing. But
maybe that's part of Anthony Barr's history at running back, is being able to see what's shifting and things like that.
Yeah.
It's very true. You don't think of things like that, how him playing for a short amount of time and used to be a running back, how it could be to his advantage at some point. But that's a good point. That's a good take to look at it. I know this has nothing to do with, this is just personal opinion and bias, but I came into the year, I'm sure like everybody else has an Adrian Peterson jersey. After all this happened, I choose to hold off on wearing that to be determined later. But I told you guys this before, I got a little Teddy Bridgewater shirt. I'm thinking, I don't have one of the new Vikings uniforms yet. I was torn. Do I want to get Cordero Patterson? Do I want Harrison Smith? I'm telling you right now, if I'm going to spend $90 on a jersey, I'm absolutely buying an Anthony Barr jersey. Hands down.
Wouldn't blame you one bit.
I think he's an animal. And that says a lot because the other two guys are really good too. But just a little fun fact about that. I'm glad we all picked that across the board for Mr. Barr for the Defensive Rookie Midseason Award.
Yep, the Midseason Rookie, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive Rookie of the Midseason? I don't know. I should have worded this better, but what can you do? Now we get into some fun awards. These are the ones that are going to get us a little bit of hate mail or some negative comments on the bottom. of the article and on Facebook and whatnot. This one is biggest struggler. Now, we've seen some players struggle this year, and not just to keep healthy and not just legally. Biggest struggler could be almost anything. So let's see what Mr. Kyle West has as his biggest struggler first.
Oh, sometimes low-hanging fruit is the one you've got to go for the most. And I'm not going to pick on Adrian. That might be the lowest. But
Yeah, that would be the easiest.
yeah, maybe one step above low-hanging fruit is Matt Khalil, who has just, I think, been defining the word struggle this season, and I don't quite know what's up with him. We're seeing some improved play these past couple weeks, but overall, I have not been satisfied with the guy who is supposed to be our long-term 10-year solution at left tackle, who's going to be an absolute rock. Well, the rock is getting blown by quite a bit more than what he should be.
Yes.
And he's got to get this figured out for the sake of the team, for the sake of Teddy Bridgewater, for the sake of not messing up that high of a draft pick. Like, he's got to get this put together, and I believe that he will do it, and hopefully he will continue to show improvement, and by the end of the season, whatever is wrong with him is out of his system, and it just doesn't ever come back again.
I hope you're right, man. Mr. Kyle Smith, what do you got?
Oh, Kyle West steals my thunder again. I am not going to beat the dead horse on that one. I think what you said that I agree with the most is it's kind of mean, but just don't care. I don't want him to turn into a flop of a draft pick because Rick Spielman's been kicking ass in the draft the last 3 years. It's just weird because he seemed, since we picked him up, like he's been on the rise, but this year is just, I don't know. He seems to be taking not one, but maybe 2 steps back. Well, like you said, he's starting to pick back up. I think he can get back to the level he was, but he's still going to need to improve on that, especially with having Teddy around, because I think we all can agree we think that Teddy can be the future for a very long time at quarterback, and you got to protect his blind side. So, Matt Khalil, step up your game, sir.
I flipped a coin on this one. I had Matt Khalil and I had one other gentleman. And I am going to stick with my other guy that isn't Matt Khalil, Marcus Sherrills.
Yep.
He's been making some terrible decisions in punt returns, and he has been struggling immensely in coverage. I don't know what happened with him, why he is having these mental lapses that are just causing big mistakes, but Marcus Sherrills right now is just really having a hard time. And he's usually a very solid punt returner, so I don't know.
He is
what's
definitely,
happening.
and he's the kind of player that that puts his roster spot in jeopardy big time. Like, they're not going to part with him in the middle of the season, but afterwards, you know what? If they look back at the tape, if he's not up to the par that Mike Zimmer is setting for this team, he's not going to be back next year. So
That's true, especially since they have some other talented punt returners like Adam Thielen and other guys. So it's not like he isn't replaceable. So he's gonna have to step it up if he wants to make sure he's got a spot on the roster.
Maybe if it don't work out at left tackle, Matt Khalil can go return punts for us.
Maybe.
How about that? They'd never see it coming.
Speaking of guys that are a waste of a roster spot, that is our next award. I don't know.
I'm not sure if that qualifies as an award, Adam, or not. But
It's like the ultimate donkey. That's awesome.
yeah.
So the biggest waste of a roster spot, I'll go first. I give mine to Brandon Watts. I bet you that both you Kyles even forgot he was on the roster.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't even know what position he plays.
He's a linebacker that started the year injured, and he has been on the active roster. He hasn't been active for a game day yet that I know of. He's recorded 0 stats. I don't know why he's on the team.
Because he kind of sounds like J.J. Watts.
Maybe.
And maybe we can, like, install some of the fear in the opposing team, confuse them. A little psychological warfare. I have no idea.
So, Brandon Watts, linebacker, Minnesota Vikings. Do something or get off the team, man.
Oh, I'll let you go next, Mr. Smith.
Well, I'm going back to Adam's biggest struggler. Marcus, if you would have came to me a year ago and said Marcus Sherrill's not going to be on the team or he might be in jeopardy, I'd be like, we were injury depleted at cornerback last year, and him and Cordero were making us the best special teams unit in the NFL.
True.
And it couldn't be farther from the truth this year, and I have no idea as to why. I think the thing I agree with you the most on is the terrible decision making for punt returns. If the other team is punting, that is a good thing. Take advantage. Not putting us in good positions on the field. So that was it. Now that we have Captain Munderland and Xavier Rhodes pretty much locked in at corner.
And Josh Robinson's having a very solid year too.
You're not going to see as much time. So when you get that chance to play in coverage, you need to step up. And he hasn't been doing that well this year. Like I said, last year, he's a solid player, but I like the story. I believe he's a Minnesota guy, if my information serves me correctly. But if he continues to play like this, there's a good chance we don't see him on the team. And that sucks because I think he's a good guy. He's shown flashes that he can be very good in certain areas, especially special teams. But he's just not having a good year so far.
Now the reason why I've been waiting to record this show and so excited, I wanted to hear Kyle Smith's biggest waste of I wanted to hear Kyle West's biggest waste of a roster spot. This is what I've been waiting for.
I was going to say, before you went into that awesome introduction there, Adam, that you could say Josh Robinson, maybe comeback player. No. Maybe comeback player of the year for the Vikings,
all right.
Based on where he was last year and the improvement you're seeing upon him. So
I was getting ready to shake my fist at you.
No, there's an extra little bit of praise for Mr. Josh Robinson. Biggest waste of a roster spot. Jeez, do I got to be the one to do it? It's Christian Ponder.
Oh no!
I mean, it's Christian Ponder, guys.
My wife is with me right now. She's smiling so big.
Why is he here? What does he do? What is the point? There's nothing.
He's there to teach Teddy.
No, that's why Teddy's been throwing interceptions, because he learned them from Ponder. Like, come on. And it's like he had to start one game and he screwed that up too. And it sucks because he's a good guy. But you know what?
He is.
Who cares? Like, legitimately, who gives a shit? You could have McLeod Bevel-Thompson doing the same thing that Ponder is. Like, people throw around this phrase, veteran quarterback. Like, what has Ponder done to earn the vote? He's the veteran quarterback that's helping Teddy Bridgewater. No, he's not. That's stupid.
Ponder led the 2012 Vikings to the playoffs.
Adrian Peterson led that team to the playoffs.
I have had that argument when I had lots of faith in Ponder.
Mm-hmm.
I totally ate my words, and I'm with you, man. I am so sorry that we have to. I love him. I love Sam. They got a cute little baby. They do nice things in the community, but that is one of the biggest question marks I've seen in the Vikings draft history in the last 10 years. It's been Christian Ponder at 12th overall in the first round. Oh, my Lord.
At our draft party, we have 2 Vikings fans that I watch the draft with every year. And both of them whipped their cell phones into the woods just so that they wouldn't get those calls after Christian Ponder was selected.
Oh, man. And, this makes me think, too, about the NFL history over the last 10, 20 years. You got guys like Tom Brady who went in the 6th round, but we decided to jump up and take Christian Ponder at 12. Yet we passed on Andy Dalton, Colin Kaepernick, people of that nature.
Russell Wilson.
It just makes me think, but that is too funny. I agree with Adam. I've been waiting on that this whole show.
We knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
And it sucks because he's a nice guy, and I hate doing that. And I love his wife, too.
Well, I supported Christian Ponder through the whole thing. I wanted him to become that guy, and there were times that we saw flashes, although small ones, of his ability to make plays with either his feet or through the air. But those flashes just got smaller and smaller and less often, and I don't see him being on the roster after this year.
It's just not confident. I think we can all agree on that. And his extreme lack of confidence is, I think, the major foundation to his inconsistency. My favorite game since being a Vikings fan, because it wasn't so heartbreaking, is the game against Green Bay where we made it to the playoffs. He played lights out in that game. Great decisions, No interceptions, 3 touchdowns. I remember it like yesterday. But
My favorite game of his is the one against San Francisco.
oh, that was a great too. The rushing touchdown was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. See, we could turn that into a positive. But yeah, you're right. There's absolutely no reason I don't see him on the team.
He's given us some good moments, but he's given us some bad moments too.
He's giving us heartburn.
All right, and that'll do it for our awards. And let's preview next week's game because this is a big one. Division game, Vikings traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Couple weird things about this game is that it'll be seen on CBS instead of Fox. I guess that Fox had more games at the 1 o'clock time slot. That's Eastern time. Noon for you Centralites. And CBS only had 2, so they kind of shifted them around so that it'd be a little more balanced. And that's great news for me because that means that I will actually get the game on my television and I won't have to stream it.
That's awesome.
That to me is the most exciting thing about the whole thing. Now,
Other than the game. Not even
The fact I
excited
get
for the
to watch
game.
it.
You're just excited that it's on television.
yeah, but now I can follow along on Twitter and everything won't be ruined for me. And
This is
oh,
true.
it's so nice. But the Bears will be entering the game on a 3-game losing streak. Last game they played the Packers and it was a humiliating defeat, 55-14. Just an utter blowout. The Bears have the number 15 total offense in the league, 12th in passing, number 24 in run offense. Meanwhile, their defense is where they seem to be struggling. While they're number 15 in run defense, they are 28th in the league in pass defense. So that's something that Teddy Bridgewater will have to take advantage of.
Yeah, really did Chicago a lot of good to sign Jared Allen, didn't it?
Jared Allen's sitting right now at 1.5 sacks. He's been battling pneumonia, I guess, through a bunch of the year. So if he's going to have a rebound game, it'll be now that he's healthy and he's taking on Matt Khalil.
Absolutely. You know it. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Look out for Jared Allen to tear up Matt Khalil and put Teddy on his butt. And I'm telling you, I don't mean this because I don't have confidence. I don't think Mike Zimmer is going to go this bye week and not take advantage. But if there was one week where we were going to piss the bed, I'm worried because the Bears are on a 3-game losing streak. They're at home, and we haven't won in Soldier Field in a very, very long time. I really hope this isn't their bounce-back game. I feel like with our defense and the interception and mistake-prone Jay Cutler, and he's not that hard to get to, I feel like we could take advantage, but I'm not going to lie. They have more to lose on this, and I feel like, than we do. And
Now, you were talking about how the Vikings haven't won in Chicago in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Allen has never won a game at Soldier Field.
Touche. It's that.
And even though he's a member of the Chicago Bears, now, anyway, there's a good chance that trend might continue if the Vikings can play well and take advantage of that poor Bears pass defense. Like you said, there's no reason why the Bears offense should be struggling. They've got a decent offensive line. They've got a quarterback with a strong arm. They've got tall, athletic wide receivers and a just monster of a tight end. And a running back that can get things done, too. Don't forget about Matt Forte. This is a team that is scary on paper if they can realize that potential. And there's a chance that they could have everything back together against Minnesota. So don't brush the Bears off just because they have a losing record and they're right now in the bottom of the NFC North. They're a better team than that paper says.
Agreed. It should be a fun game.
Haven't heard much from Kyle West lately. What are your opinions on the game?
Oh, I was just thinking that maybe the solution for Matt Khalil is that we hook him up to the Venom poison from the Batman comics that they used to like bulk Bane up with. Maybe we can hook him up to like that Bane equipment and have him take on Jared Allen. No, I think it's gonna be a closer game. Like, we're not going to completely blow them out. It'll be closer than what you expect. But the Vikings are going to win this. Like, Everson and the rest of the defense is going to have a field day against Jared Allen. I mean, against Jared Allen. Against Jay Cutler. You say Jay Cutler's name loud enough, and, like, he goes down with a sack. Like, that's how often he gets hit there in Chicago. So, I think that you'll see a good game from Jarek and the Vikings and Bridgewater and the rest of the team. But I do think it will be close. It'll be close, but we'll win.
All right, so guys, putting you on the spot. Over under 250 passing yards for Teddy Bridgewater.
Over.
We got an over.
What's
Kyle West.
the record for most passing yardages in a game? He'll break that. I have no idea. Sure, why
Hey,
not?
You know what? Kyle Rudolph is back. That's why I'm going with the over. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Kyle Rudolph catches more than 2 or 3 passes, but him being back alone is a good enough presence because he's a big body. I will go on paper now and say, even though I'm kind of going off subject, Kyle Rudolph will get a touchdown this weekend. He's a great red zone target.
Very nice. And I'm going to go on paper as saying that Matt Asiata scores 2 more rushing touchdowns.
There you go.
Jarek will do all the work, and then they'll get on the 2-yard line and give it to Asiata.
Absolutely.
My wife's here. She can say she yelled at me last week saying, "Who cares? We scored." I was like, "No, Jarek does all the work." And Matt always has these games where he just rushes for 3 touchdowns. This is crap.
It ruins it for everyone who's got him on fantasy football when they do that.
Hey, I've got Asiata. Keep doing it.
That's awesome.
Everybody picks up the guy that's going to get a lot of yards. I want the guy that's scoring the touchdowns.
I'm still waiting for Cordero to come out and have that game. You know what I mean? Where he comes out and you're like, oh, that was Cordero's game. Where he just absolutely torches a defense and goes off for a lot of yardage and a couple touchdowns.
Once Teddy and Patterson get on the same page, that long ball is going to be there, and you're going to see more screens. And I think that might be a little bit more to do with Patterson's health. I'm hoping this bye week has got him a little bit more spring in his step, and
hopefully
just coming out ready to play because they will need him to beat the Bears.
Hopefully we can get our version of what I like to think of Julio Jones out of Cordero Patterson. I can't wait, like you said, for the deep ball threat to actually come around.
I like calling him Big Percy.
Big Percy. There you go.
Do it, Big Percy. I know people just like Flash, but to me, I don't know. To me, he's not. He doesn't have his own comic book. That's not right.
He should. I would.
He probably will eventually.
I would buy a Cordero comic. I would write a Cordero comic.
But all right, on that note, if you guys don't have anything else to say, we'll wrap it up.
Nope, I got nothing.
And by that silence, I'll assume Mr. West is also good to go. So if you get a chance, check us out on Twitter. It's at Purple People Pod. Or go to our Facebook page, Purple People Podcast. Me and Mr. Kyle Smith handle things over there. We've been a little lazy with the posting, but we'll get better with it. Promise. Plus, we're always there to interact with you guys, so if you post something up, or we post something up and you guys comment, we're usually there to say something back, or at least have something fun. On that note, I'd like to thank you for listening, and remember to stay classy, Minnesota.